So instead of setting your one single goal outcome that you want to reach in the year, you have these intentions that can guide you through taking action and making choices and doing things throughout your days, your weeks, your months, in all areas of your life. You can look to that intention to guide you. Welcome to Ebbs and Flows with Erin. In this show, we're getting real about navigating the ups and downs of life together. I'm your host, Erin, and we're ditching the pressure to have it all figured out along the way because honestly, nobody does. We'll explore all things healing, growing, creating, and connecting. And if you deal with anxiety, depression, being a highly sensitive person, or just feeling overwhelmed by life sometimes, I see you, and this show is for you. My intention with these conversations is simple: to leave you feeling empowered, validated, and most importantly, reminded that you are never alone, no matter where you're at on your own journey. Learning that we all have the power to heal genuinely changed my life. And the best part, healing does not have to be complicated. The smallest changes really can make the biggest impact, and it can be joyful, fulfilling, and something that we do together. So join me in getting real about what it means to heal. Thank you for being here, and now let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to Ebbs and Flows with Erin, or welcome back to Ebbs and Flows with Erin. Thank you for being here with me today, whether you are watching or listening, as we are going to dive into a topic that can shift how you approach the new year. And that is setting intentions instead of setting resolutions. If you've ever felt frustrated by resolutions that seem to fall flat by February, you aren't alone, as 80 to 90% of people do. This episode is for you. And by the end of this episode, you'll understand what intentions are, why they're a powerful alternative to resolutions, and how to set them for a more aligned and fulfilling year. Okay, so you might be asking, what is the difference between intentions and resolutions? Well, resolutions tend to be rigid goals or specific outcomes that you want to achieve, like losing 10 pounds or quitting a habit or saving a certain amount of money. The problem with this is that resolutions often focus on external results and can leave us feeling like we've failed if we don't hit that exact target or stay on an exact rigid schedule, whatever we've set out for ourselves. And this can lead to perpetuating feelings of shame, guilt, and resentment towards ourselves. Whereas intentions, on the other hand, are about aligning with how we want to feel or live. They are rooted in our values and focus on the journey rather than the destination. So for example, instead of saying, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, your intention might be, I'm committed to treating my body with love and care. And I do want to note, if you're someone who feels like resolutions do work for you and goal setting in the form of SMART goals, setting specific measurable goals does work for you, then that's great. And you can stick with that. But in my personal experience, I know shifting into setting intentions has created more change in my life, more positive change, and it also cultivates more self-love and self-compassion, which can really help for new habits and shifts to stick when we can have a positive relationship with ourselves. So resolutions more so lead to the opportunity to beat ourselves up and feel guilty or shameful or resent ourselves for what we aren't doing and the targets that we're not meeting, whereas intentions are setting a theme for what you can look to invite more into your life. You're acknowledging what you value and what you enjoy, and maybe it's things that you already have cultivated into your life, and acknowledging you want to expand on that. And it's more of a guidelines for the actions you're going to take throughout your day-to-day. And it is more flexible. So let's get into that now. What are the benefits of setting intentions over resolutions? One of the benefits is flexibility. So intentions give you room to adjust and adapt as life happens. They are not about perfection, but about staying aligned with what matters to you. So if you've listened to our past episode, The Truth About Perfectionism and Why Self-Compassion is the Answer, you know that shame is at the root of perfectionism. And resolutions can often perpetuate the perfectionism cycle of analysis paralysis. You have these goals you've set, but now you're struggling to stick to them and play them out throughout the year because you want to reach perfection before you actually attain the goal, and you get stuck in that loop and feeling shame and resentment towards yourself because you're not achieving the goal that you set out to achieve. And it's exhausting and you will burn out. And for myself, an intention that I've previously set, I think this was for 2022, and I had learned about setting intentions rather than resolutions. For myself, resolutions did not work. And in 2022, the intention I set was to do things for the purpose of passion over perfection. And that is the intention that I looked to throughout that year when I was making choices and taking action throughout the year. And by the end of the year, I had incorporated a lot more joy and passion and creativity into my life from setting that mantra, that intention, and looking to it throughout the year. But it's flexible. It wasn't giving me an exact thing that I had to do, an exact outcome I had to reach. It was just a guidelines and a reminder for the things that I wanted to expand on and amplify in my life in that year. So flexibility. Whereas resolutions, say it's, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to make this dollar amount. There's no flexibility. So when you're not meeting it, it just perpetuates all these more negative feelings. So a second benefit of setting intentions is that they focus on the present. So intentions keep you grounded in the moment. They help you make choices that feel right in the now rather than chasing a future outcome, which resolutions are often based in future outcomes, whereas intentions are the guidelines to help you get to that future outcome, but have much more flexibility and guide you in the present moment in your day-to-day. Again, leaving less room for feeling like you've failed and feeling guilty or resentful or shameful towards yourself. And on that note, a third benefit of setting intentions is it encourages self-compassion. So intentions foster self-compassion because they're about progress and not perfection. Again, this is why a lot of resolutions fall flat by February. Statistics show that by February, over 80% of people have fallen flat on their resolutions, and then they're just left with worse feelings, more negative feelings towards themselves. The fourth benefit of setting intentions is holistic alignment. So your intentions align with your values and can impact multiple areas of life, not just one single goal. So instead of setting your one single goal outcome that you want to reach in the year, you have these intentions that can guide you through taking action and making choices and doing things throughout your days, your weeks, your months, in all areas of your life. You can look to that intention to guide you. So let's talk some more about what intentions are and how you can set them. So intentions are statements of how you want to show up in your life. They're about who you want to be rather than what you want to do. I think that's important. It's who you want to be rather than what you want to do. Because when you work on how you want to show up, who you want to be in the action you're taking and the choices you're making, that inevitably will impact what you do and the outcomes you get in your life. So some guidelines for setting your intentions. Keep them broad but meaningful, so they should resonate deeply with your values and your visions for your life. So you don't want to get too complex with your intentions because then you may as well be setting resolutions. So it can take some practice because you can quickly find yourself starting to make your intentions complex. But the key here with intentions and why they work over resolutions is because it is easier to be successful at something you enjoy doing rather than something you're forcing yourself to do. So your intentions are not these big, complex, kind of scary goals that you're setting that are daunting, because that is where you inevitably start to fail. So I want to give you some guidelines for setting your intentions. And number one, most importantly, you want to keep them broad but meaningful, and they should resonate deeply with your goals and your vision for your life. But keeping them broad is very important here because you can quickly start to find yourself making them complex and complicating them and maybe starting to add rules to them, like this many times a week, or I will do this for this long, or this is how often I'll do this. You want to stay away from that, because then you may as well just be setting resolutions and following the SMART goals outline. Intentions are powerful because of how broad they are. When things feel too complicated and too heavy and too complex, it is so much easier to fail at them. And that's just a fact. It's easier to succeed at things that feel light and fun and easy. And while your intentions can feel light and fun and easy, they are extremely meaningful and they guide you throughout every area of your life. So they are impactful and meaningful, but they aren't complicated and complex. So if you're struggling to come up with an intention or a few intentions, I can suggest creating a list of your top 5 core values, and then creating a list of your top 5 favorite things you like to do. Really ask yourself what they are, even if it's things that you haven't made a lot of time to do in recent times. Write out those lists and then look at them, see how they can overlap. Ask yourself how you want to bring in more of these things, call in more of it into your life. You'll start to see how you can amplify these things in your life, and you can start to set your intentions, create your statement, your mantra, your intentions from there. So seeing what you value and what you enjoy, what makes you feel passionate, and then creating an intention from there to call more of that into your life. So a few more guidelines. You want to focus on the process and not the outcome again. So for example, my 2022 intention was doing things for the purpose of passion rather than perfection. So I was focusing on the process instead of an outcome. So instead of saying something like, I am going to create 10 art pieces for the purpose of passion and not perfection, or I'm going to make music for fun instead of perfection. It was all about the process. There was no label as to what I was doing. I was just simply setting the intention to do things for the purpose of passion over perfection. So focusing on the process, not the outcome. I hope that makes sense. The next guideline is to make your intentions positive and empowering. Avoid any negative language or self-criticism. So try to avoid saying things like, I'm going to stop doing this, or I'm going to cut this out of my life, or I'm going to be better at this. Try and use positive, empowering language. And write them in the present tense. So write them as, again, for example, my 2022 intention, because that one I'm using for an example because it was really impactful for me. And I think it can be relatable to others, as we've talked about perfectionism a lot here on this podcast. But again, writing them in present tense. So my intention was, I am doing things for the purpose of passion over perfection. So writing it as an I am statement, as if you're already doing it. This is also serving as a form of manifestation, a form of affirmation. When you are setting your intention statements in the present tense and then putting them places where you can read them, see them, you can recite them. So on that note, the final guideline is to write them down and or create a ritual around setting them to make them feel intentional. So I definitely encourage you to write down your intentions, write them in your journal, write them down in the Notes app in your phone. You can go on Canva or Pinterest and create a vision board or a dream board, an action board. You can create a graphic to have as your phone wallpaper or your laptop screensaver that has your intentions written out on them. Writing them out and then placing them in places where you're going to see them often to remind you of. You can do a ritual on the day that you set the intentions, but then if you want to take it a step further, you can incorporate it into whatever self-care rituals you may follow already. Like if you are someone who meditates, you can incorporate using these mantras, these intentions in your meditations, however often you want to, or you can state your intentions during or before or after your yoga practice, or however you're mindfully moving your body. If you are someone who prays or has a spiritual practice, you can incorporate your intentions into that. You can make it simple and stack it into other habits, like when you're driving to and from work, you can be reciting your intentions, or when you are getting dressed in the morning, you're saying your intentions out loud, or when you're doing dishes, any way that you can remind yourself of your intentions is going to be very helpful, and it's going to become throughout the year and over time more natural for you to just act in alignment with these intentions the more that you are incorporating them into your life. Okay, so I've given you one example of my past intentions for the year, and I want to give you a few more examples to hopefully inspire you. So, examples of intentions. I am committed to nurturing my body and mind with kindness and care. I choose to embrace gratitude and find joy in small moments. I am devoted to creating balance in my personal and professional life. I show up authentically and honor my truth unapologetically. I prioritize my personal development and my overall health and wellness. I prioritize income generating activities that align with my purpose and my passions. So these are just a few examples. There are endless examples, endless intentions you can use, endless words you can use, endless ways you can go about this. But again, try to keep it as meaningful but broad as you can, because that is where you're going to find the most success in utilizing your intentions throughout your year. And on that note, I also want to say, when it comes to the new year, taking the pressure off of it being the new year has also been really helpful and healing to me, because the truth is, the switch from December 31st to January 1st is the same shift between any day of the year. So if you're feeling the pressure on this day or at this time, try reminding yourself it really is just a day on the calendar. I know for myself, in the past 5 years, I have just decided that personally for me, the new year, the true new year, starts with the spring equinox, mid-March. That is the new year to me. I do not feel the most inspired and primed to change and to make shifts and to feel anew at this time in the beginning of January, following the holidays, especially where I live. Again, it's cold and it's dark. And yes, it's starting to get later again, but I realized that when I looked and reflected back over several years, at this time in mid-March, when it's here in the Northern Hemisphere, the spring equinox, I always feel so much more inspired, so much more motivated. This is when the most change and shifting and growth tends to happen for me. And in a lot of cultures, that is the time of year that is looked at as the actual new year. So I just decided for me, that is the new year. This month of January, the beginning of January, yes, it is a new calendar year, but I truly don't consider it the new year. And yes, I am going to still set my intentions at this time, but I don't know. It just helps to take the pressure off at this time, reminding yourself that you can truly choose any day to wake up and set your intentions and create your shifts and decide that you want to make changes, act differently, whatever it may be. Try and take the pressure off of it being the new year. And when March comes around and nature is starting to bloom and come back alive, and we're having longer sunlight in our days, I would be interested to know if you notice that you feel like it is more of an opportunity to start a new year than you feel it is right now at the beginning of January, following the holidays. Yes, it is the change in a calendar year, but I'm no longer putting pressure on it to be the new year where you feel renewed and where your rebirth takes place. For me, that happens in March. And I'd be interested to know if you feel that same way. But I just wanted to note that as well. Just know you can take the pressure off, and this doesn't have to be a time of year, like we said in the last episode, navigating holiday emotions. If you're not feeling entirely merry and bright and motivated and inspired to rebirth and renew at this time, that's okay, and you're not alone. And you can truly do this any day of the year. We do have the second new moon of December happening on Sunday. Well, I guess when this comes out, it will have happened 3 days ago. And that is a powerful time to set your intentions, because new moons are the ideal time to take a look at what you want to manifest, what you want to call into your life, what you want to expand on in your life, the intentions you want to set. And then the full moon happens 2 weeks after a new moon, and the full moon is where we check in with the intentions we set at the new moon. We release what is not working for us, what is no longer serving us, and reflect on those intentions that we set back during the new moon. As I'm talking about working with the moon cycle to journal, set our intentions, release what's no longer working with us, I do want to mention that if you live in the Edmonton, Alberta area, on January 12th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., Wyatt Weeb Center for Healing in Sturgeon County, just 30 minutes outside of Edmonton, myself and my partner in retreats, Lacey, are hosting a full moon, the Wolf Moon, women's workshop where Lacey is going to guide you through yin yoga while I channel Reiki, and then guide you through a meditation. We're going to journal, and we're going to connect with women. It is going to be divine, wonderful, relaxing, rejuvenating. It is the time to truly release everything you want to leave behind in 2024. And we are so excited to connect with you all. It is going to be fantastic. We have a few spots left, so if you do live in the area and you are interested in joining us, we would absolutely love to have you. I will leave all the details in the show notes in the description below, and you can find more details on Instagram. I am so excited, and I hope to see you there. So, as I said, you can do this intention setting at any time, but this topic is heightened. It's more talked about right now when we are approaching the new calendar year, January 1st. And with this new moon just happening, this is a powerful time to set your intentions, but don't feel the pressure that this day, this time has to be absolutely life-changing for you. You can do this at any time. So, take a moment after this episode, reflect on what you do want to invite into your life this year. Ask yourself, how do I want to feel? What values do I want to embody? What am I already grateful for and enjoy in my life? And what do I want to expand on and call in more of? Write down, I suggest 1 to 3 intentions that resonate with you. Again, place them somewhere visible as a reminder. Recite them often. Do what you have to do to keep them top of mind. The more that you incorporate them into your daily life, the more naturally you're going to take action inspired and aligned with these intentions. And again, most importantly, because we're not looking for perfection, remember that you can always go back and adjust your intentions. This is why I like to follow the moon cycle and journal during the moon cycle, because it allows you to reflect on intentions that you set, release what's not working, and readjust throughout each month. So, final thoughts, reminder that intentions are not about getting it perfect. They're about aligning with your truth and showing up for yourself in a way that feels right for you. So if this resonated with you at all, I would love to hear from you at Ebbs and Flows 222 on Instagram, or send me an email at erinebbsandflows@gmail.com. Leave me a comment on YouTube, leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, all the things. Extremely grateful to hear anything from you guys. I am wishing you a grounded, fulfilling, healing, growing, creating, connecting. I look forward to the future conversations that we are going to have here. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm sending a lot of love and gratitude. I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.